Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the kitchen. I am here with you to make something really special tonight, but it's a really easy dish. When I posted the picture yesterday, a lot of folks were kind of speculating as to what it might be, and you guys were pretty much right on target. It's a special way to make mashed potatoes. It was something that my grandmother made quite a bit. It was actually a way that she used leftover mashed potatoes, but it quickly became family favorite. Hello, Richie. Good to see you. Hello, Reed. Reed, my nephew Reed, who is a chef in Charlottesville, and he was a little kid when he started having this dish. Hello, Jan. But this is a very special family dish because we serve it all the time at holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving. We always look forward to it. And the picture I posted yesterday was of the giant, I mean, it must have been 10 pounds of potatoes that we made for the crowd that we had for Christmas just last year, back when we could, travel and stuff. Hi Wendy, good to see you. Pardon me, back when we could travel, we were in Vilnius, Lithuania for Christmas, and my wife's brother lives there, and so we went over there, and it was a very special Christmas. It was, cold, not a lot of snow, but it was a really beautiful setting. But it was a great holiday, but we had to have the Iachetta, Grandma Iachetta's potatoes. Hey Barry, good to see you. So again, it's a super easy dish. What you're gonna do is get, usually I don't make it with less than 5 pounds of potatoes. Don't worry about leftovers because people are gonna eat this up. You're gonna need potatoes. You're gonna need a couple of eggs. You're gonna need some mozzarella. Hello Mimo, good to see you. You're going to need butter, just a little tiny splash of milk. You don't wanna overdo it with the milk. And we'll dress it on top with some Parmesan cheese, a little paprika, and a little more butter. But it's super easy, and when it's done, someone guessed it was a potato souffle. It's sort of like a souffle. It's, I guess, really kind of the poor man's potato souffle. But it turns your mashed potatoes into something light, fluffy, wonderful, with a little layer of mozzarella goodness in there that's all melty and delicious. And the other thing that you can do, which is what I'm doing tonight, is you can make it ahead of time, you can prepare it, and then throw it in the fridge and cook it later. You can cook it the next day, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have, I've made a little small dish to show you, but there are no words. I know, someone asked what's it called. We just call it Grandma Iachetta's potatoes. I don't really have a name for this. It's just Grandma Iachetta's potatoes. But what we're gonna do is first you're gonna boil your potatoes like you were gonna make mashed potatoes. And I've already done that because one of the things that you wanna do, so you take your potatoes, peel them, cube them up, and then throw them in the boiling water for about 15, 20 minutes until they're fork tender, just like you were gonna make mashed potatoes. Is the easiest thing in the world. And so that's what I have done. I've already got my mashed potatoes boiled off. They're ready to go. I'm just draining them a little bit more. And the other thing you want to do is you want them to cool just a little bit because we're going to put some egg in there. So in lieu of a lot of milk, or sometimes people put cream, I looked up, someone said, are these going to be Romanov potatoes? I didn't know what those were. I had to check them out. Duchess potatoes was another guess, and it's similar, although far less fancy than Duchess potatoes. There's no cream in this dish. There's just a little splash of milk like you were going to make, again, your mashed potatoes. So let's go ahead. I'll show you the batch of potatoes. There it is. I've already boiled those off. I have drained them. Hello, Robert. Good to see you. And I've let them cool just a little bit because I'm going to throw some butter in there in just a minute. We're going to butter and salt and pepper them. Now, I used pretty salty water to boil these, so they're already pretty well seasoned. I'm not going to put a lot of extra salt in. I'm just going to put them back in the pot. I want to make sure that they're sufficiently cool because when I throw in the egg, I don't want the egg to start scrambling, right? That's what we want to avoid. Let's come over here where you can see a little better. Perfect. All right. Let's, I think you guys can see that pretty well. All right. So I've got the potatoes. It's a few pounds of potatoes. So we're going to put a fair amount of butter in there. I like really buttery mashed potatoes. And again, this is just sort of a variation on mashed potatoes, but when you see the finished product, you're going to understand just how wonderful and special these really are. So again, you're going to need, I do it with like 5 pound batches, so we're going to throw some butter in there. It's almost enough butter, maybe a little more. There we go. I'm going to let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little bit. And we'll let that butter melt down a little And again, one of the things, because you want most of the liquid in this dish is going to be the egg itself. So we're not going to put very much milk in. I'm going to grab a little splash of milk. And the other thing is it helps to, Richard, her new colander. No, it's the same old colander, Richard. The milk also helps to bring the temperature down of the potatoes when we throw the egg in. So we're going to beat a couple of eggs and we're going to put that in there in just a minute. But, and again, you don't need a lot of milk. Don't put a lot of milk in here because you don't want them saturated. Just a little bit. I mean, gosh, that was just a splash. Might as well finish it up though. That's about the end of that. All right, so we've got that in there. We're in good shape there. Now what we're going to do, come over here with me. Sorry for the bouncy camera work. We're just going to take a couple of eggs. I know, I'm gonna put it, when I'm blending up, you'll see it. So we're gonna, oh, I got eggshell in my egg. I made a rookie mistake there. So, if you're gonna use 5 pounds of potatoes like I normally do, you probably want about 2 to 3 eggs. There we go. So we beat the egg. I've got the butter and the milk. The butter is tragic, Reed. Yes, it was tragic, Reed. It's fun to have my nephew on here who's, as I said, he's a chef. All right, so you just beat the egg real nicely. Get it all whipped up. Now, one of the things, here you see, we got those potatoes in there. The butter is all melted. There's not a lot of liquid. We're going to add in, like I said, I already salted these pretty well, but I am going to put just a little ground pepper. Got a little Frank on in the background. Just a little bit of ground pepper in there. And these are really well salted, but I'm going to put a little, just a splash. You know, I don't want to over salt them. And then we're going to add in the egg. And the potatoes are sufficiently cool that they're not going to cook the egg. That's the most important thing, because you'll end up with eggs and scrambled eggs in your potatoes. That's what you don't want. So there you go. It's all in there. And now, and this is something we did not have in Lithuania, was an electric blender mixer, but we're just gonna whip these up like you normally would make mashed potatoes. But again, the bulk of the liquid in here are the beaten eggs, not milk. There's a little tiny splash of milk and a lot of butter, about half a stick of butter. So you're gonna get really nice, creamy, and they're gonna be a little golden because of the egg and the butter. Oh, that's nice. I like them nice and smooth. But the other thing you gotta remember, you're gonna bake these. So once we're done mashing them, we're gonna put them in a pan and layer them with a little fresh mozzarella that I've grated up. All right. Beautiful. All right, we're in good shape there. Now what we got is really just gorgeous mashed potatoes. You can see that. The LT part does come with a mixer. I didn't remember that. I thought we had to do it by hand. All right. Hey, Tom, nice to see you. Greetings to you guys in Virginia. So now we got that ready to go. So what we're going to do, I'm going to let you get a better look at this. Get the camera angle right here. There we go. And ignore the mess over there. All right, this is about a cup and a half of mozzarella cheese. You're gonna need that. You're gonna need a little Parmesan cheese. We're still gonna need our butter for the tops of these. So keep your butter out. You're gonna need just a little paprika for just a little splash of color, all right? But now we've got the mashed potatoes. We're gonna layer them in our baking dish. About 50-50, all right? Half goes on the bottom, save the other half for the top. And again, you can make this ahead of time, which I am doing because we're gonna bake these off with Andrea's family tomorrow when we're all together. So you just spread that out. This is an ungreased pan. I didn't feel the need to do that because trust me, there's plenty of butter. I find when I bake these, it doesn't stick very much to the pan because they're well buttered already. Oh, look at that. Another little scoop right in there. And you just spread it out nice. Leave yourself just a little bit of kind of a dip in the middle, and I'm going to show you why. And these are going to be nice and fluffy, and they're going to bake up beautifully. And you're going to see that in just a second. All right, so now we've layered the pan with about half of our mashed potatoes, okay? Nana, don't grease the dish. If you put enough butter in the potatoes, you don't need to grease the dish. Mitch, I like your thinking. Mitch Kirschenfeld says he put a chunk of Fulvio sausage in there. Yeah, you know, you could grind it up, put it in your mashed potatoes. All right, now we're gonna take our mozzarella and you're gonna just distribute this in a nice, easy layer. Once again, I'm using kind of, this is the kind of the heavier grate. Sometimes you get that finer grated mozzarella, but this is gonna bake long enough that you don't have to worry about it. It'll be nice and melty in the middle of our potato dish. So I said it's about 1.5 cups. I may not use quite all of it, but I'm gonna be close. All right, there we go. Beautiful. All right. Now we've layered the bottom layer of those mashed potatoes with a little bit of that, not so little bit, of mozzarella cheese, shredded mozzarella, and that's ready now for our second layer. I want you to be able to see this. Yeah, there we go, that's even better. So, now you just get the rest of your mashed potatoes. This is a little bit more of a delicate operation because you want the mozzarella to stay in the middle. You don't want to blend it in with the top layer. Not that that would be terrible, but the trick here is that when you bake these off, there's going to be this lovely melty layer of mozzarella in the middle. It's like a little bit of a surprise. And I have introduced this to my wife's family now. We do it for Thanksgiving, and the cousins love it. And in fact, now my kids ask for it. Andrea's kids ask for it. They demand it. All right, so we've got that, and we're just going to spread that out on top of our layer of mozzarella, just like that. And again, be careful. You want to spread it out to the edges. You don't want to start folding it up because you don't want to mix the mozzarella in. You just want to keep that layer separate. Spread it out to the edges just like that. Oh yeah, this is fantastic. Voila. Cover it up. So now, it's like a little treasure hunt because underneath all of those mashed potatoes is a delicious thin layer, not so thin layer actually, because I like the mozzarella, of mozzarella. Now, to finish this off, we're gonna take butter. Just put a couple of pads of butter, like that. Just thin little slices of butter. If you're counting calories or cholesterol, stop watching and stop worrying about it. It's all fine. It's more important that it tastes good. There we go. So I've got butter. Now, we've got our little, this is beautifully grated Parmigiano Reggiano, the king of all cheeses. You just sprinkle a little bit of this on top, like that. Just a little dusting all over the top of it. You don't have to cover it up, just a little dusting like that. And then a little paprika, and this is just for color. It gives you a little dash of flavor, but it really is just all about giving that top coating just a little bit of color to it. Just a little bit like that. Okay, okay. I know Richard is freaking out. It's not spicy paprika, it's just that nice smoked sweet paprika. All right, that is ready to go in the oven. There's no Parmesan in the middle, sweetheart. It's just the mozzarella in the middle. The Parmesan goes on top. And when you bake this, you're going to bake it uncovered, and it's going to cook up. And that Parmesan and the butter and the paprika is going to give you a beautiful little bit of a crust right on top of those potatoes. And then, of course, you're going to have that melty layer in the middle. Now, I did, and the beauty of this is I'm going to cover that with cellophane, and I'm going to throw it in the fridge, and we're going to cook it off tomorrow evening for dinner. And in just a second, I'm going to pull the, I've got one in the oven. I got a little small dish because I'm going to grill a steak tonight, and I wanted some of my potatoes to go. I don't actually wanted for you guys to see the finished product. As always, when I'm cooking in the kitchen, I like to have a little drink in my hand. I was going to do some wine tonight. I bought a nice Pinot Noir, but I have rediscovered my love of gin, so I'm going to have a gin and tonic. Years ago, when I was living in Italy, we went to a party. I was an exchange student. We went to a party, and there was gin available. And Jen and I got into an argument at that time, and it's been a long time since I could enjoy it. But some friends of mine did a online Zoom cocktail party, and it was a lot of fun. But they had a couple of professional bartenders come in and taught a couple of different really nice drink recipes, and one of them was gin, lemon juice, and Campari, and it is Bombay Sapphire, and it was really good. And it was so like 2 ounces of gin, an ounce of lemon juice, and about a half an ounce of Campari, and you shake that in ice, and it was really delicious and really refreshing. And it's been so hot. So anyway, I don't know what you guys are having. That's what I'm enjoying. Let's check on the other test batch of potatoes to see how they're doing. Oh, yeah, they're almost up. So we'll pull them out in just a couple minutes. But it is that easy. All you have to do is mash your potatoes, but again, just a little tiny bit of milk. Substitute 2 eggs for the milk, all right? And this is probably about 3 pounds of potatoes right here, maybe a little more. So you mash your potatoes, let them cool off, drain them, let them cool a little bit, melt some butter, add a little splash of milk, add 2 beaten eggs, whip them up, and then layer them. Bottom layer, middle layer of mozzarella cheese, and then another top layer, finish it off with the potatoes, and then some pats of butter, Parmesan cheese, and that beautiful paprika. And that's going to come to just like I said, a really pretty crust right on top. And I think the ones in the oven are just about ready. Isn't it a great hot pad? We got this in Lithuania too. It's just gorgeous. All right, let's pull that out and see what it looks like. There you go. See how light and fluffy those have puffed up? They're beautiful and golden on the top, and they're all melty in the middle, and that is just about the way you want them to look. Let's get a better look at those. Look at that. And so you bake them. If you refrigerate this overnight, you want to bake them for about 45 minutes at 375, okay? If you do not refrigerate them overnight, like if we had just made these like that pan, throw it in the oven, you can do it 350 for about 30 minutes max, 20 to 30 minutes, and they'll puff up beautifully. So that's how they finish, and they're melty and cheesy and delicious in the middle, and they're light and fluffy. It's a great way to serve mashed potatoes. Pretty easy. Roland, yours are coming. Roland, he said, this is the pan for us. That's going to be over the weekend. The family's like, okay, we're ready for some now. But it's a great way to dress up your mashed potatoes. And like I said, it's sort of a poor man's souffle. They puff up with the egg, so they bake up, and they're very light and fluffy and delicious and cheesy. And they've got that Parmesan crust on top, a little buttery goodness. So I encourage you to try it. My grandma Iachetta's recipe, super easy, super delicious, and I promise you, your family's going to love it. It's a special occasion dish for us, but often when we're talking about what kind of potatoes, you got to have these. Just good old russet potatoes. Whatever you're going to make your mashed potatoes with, you can make these. And it's super easy. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen. Listen, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Smoky out there. Yesterday was one of the best days we've had in a long time. Only hit 98 today. We got the smoke back, and there's a smoke advisory going on, and we're going to heat back up for the weekend. So obviously our prayers are with everybody in the path of the wildfires. It's a terrible wildfire season. The El Dorado fire closest to our valley, creating the smoke issues, the Bobcat fire over in LA. So we're certainly concerned about those folks, and we send our heartfelt prayers for their safety. You guys have a great evening. I will, of course, be on the news tomorrow morning and on CV 1043 tomorrow afternoon. Have a great weekend, and we'll be back in the kitchen next week. Thanks for stopping by.